Hey, Chuck Vosberg here, and I wanted to share with you a little bit about Pat and my experience with COVID. If you know us, you know that we both had COVID, and we kind of had different experiences with it. But I want to share all of it with you. A lot of people have been asking us a lot of questions about it, so I just wanted to kind of share it with you and just kind of give you my opinion for what it's worth. And I'm going to break this down into segments because I've really got a lot to say about it. So, first of all, I'd like to start off with when we got sick. So, Pat got sick first, and the way it worked was we were out doing some videos of some properties, and, we got back to the car, and Pat got a migraine. And that's not particularly unusual. She gets those occasionally. And so she gets in the car. She's like, oh, man, I got a bad migraine. So she took her migraine pill for it. Pill wasn't helping. In this case, it was like an hour drive back home. And once we got on the road, Pat started feeling really cold. And she had a fever. She obviously had a fever. So this whole thing hit her really fast. I mean, it was like within a matter of 30 minutes, she went from being perfectly normal and doing videos to, I think I'm sick. So we got home and we took her temperature, and she did indeed have a high temperature. And we're thinking like, what do you got, a cold or flu or anything? Because those were really the only two symptoms at that point. So by the next day, she had a cough and still had a terrible migraine and super tired, just a lot of fatigue, just didn't want to get out of bed. So I still felt fine. So we were thinking like, I don't know, maybe it's COVID. We couldn't get a test for it for a couple of days because this was like at the peak of this Delta variant here in our area of Florida. So, they were super busy. It was just running rampant at that time. So we scheduled a test. We found one, wasn't exactly near our house, but we found one, I think it was the next day that was available. So I set up shop in a spare bedroom and, tried to be like Howard Hughes and washing my hands constantly and disinfectant, wearing a mask when I'm around Pat, in hopes of not getting it myself. Now, chances are I probably already had it, but at that point, we didn't know anything. So I was caring for Pat, making sure she got meals, in bed and everything, and, doing my best to keep her comfortable. And, sleeping in the other room and, trying to keep our distance as much as possible. And it was actually kind of easy because, Pat was pretty much just worn out and she just wanted to be in bed. So that worked out good, especially for her since she's one that doesn't like to stay in one place for more than about 2 seconds. So it worked out good. And about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 days later, I started developing a little cough and I wasn't really feeling that good. And, let me jump back first. Pat got her test and it was positive. So she definitely had COVID. So we immediately talked to the doctor, and the doctor prescribed a whole litany of things for Pat. And we're really lucky. We've got a great doctor who just happens to be an expert on infectious diseases. So that was a big benefit for us. And so we were on the phone with the doctor like daily with Pat. And, she stayed down for about a week. I think she was pretty much down and out for a week. So anyway, now we'll jump to me. So I started getting sick. I was like, oh man, I'm thinking maybe I got it too. Now Pat and I do everything together. We have no idea where we got it, when we got it. We're very careful. We wear a mask. We wash our hands. We do everything that you're supposed to do. And it just proves that it doesn't matter what you do. You can get it. And I think, now that we're a month later, that's kind of been proven out that it doesn't matter what you do. You can get it. You can only do your best and hope for the best. And that's kind of always been our attitude. Just do our best and let chips fall where they may. So I started getting sick. So we again called the doctor. I had a lot higher fever than Pat did. And so the doctor had a little bit different strategy for me because I've got some other, different circumstances than Pat does. She's got certain things with her, I got certain things with me. And that's why you should not take medical advice from people on Facebook. And, people always, they're asking, okay, what's going on? Exactly. They wanted a list of what the doctor prescribed and everything. And, it really doesn't matter because even between Pat and I, what the doctor prescribed for her, even though there was a lot of overlap, it was different than what she prescribed for me because we're different people with different circumstances. And I think that's really the danger. Everybody's asking, they wanted a list. They wanted, how many milligrams of this, how many milligrams of that. And we answered the people. And I in the next video, I'll talk about that because that turned out in a way to, maybe it was a mistake, maybe it wasn't. But I'll talk about that later. So I went downhill super fast too. Same thing, headaches, body aches, developed a cough, breathing kind of started feeling a little restricted, and it was just getting really bad. And we had a hard time controlling the fever on me. And to Pat's credit, she got up every 3 hours, day and night, and made sure I was getting my medication, checking my temperature, and making sure, because I've got asthma, and I was starting to have some breathing problems. So after about a week of this uncontrolled temperature, I went to a walk-in clinic that would accept people who had COVID, because I got tested too, and I had COVID, so, we knew for sure. So they did an x-ray and determined I had pneumonia. So that kind of changed everything. So again, we talked to the doctor on the phone, and she made some more prescriptions. She had already given me instructions on how to prevent pneumonia. And just so you know, it's don't lay on your back. Lay on your stomach is best, and laying on your side is second best, and move around a lot. And get up as many times as you can, walk around. For the first few days, I wasn't in any shape to even get up and walk around. But long and short of the story is I ended up getting pneumonia. And there were a few scary moments there, which I'll put in a separate video because I don't want this to be too long. So, I was down. Pat was feeling a little bit better. She was nowhere near normal yet. But it worked out good for us because in the very beginning, when Pat was at the very worst of the disease, I was feeling well, so I was able to take care of her. And then when I started getting really sick, Pat was starting to come out of hers, so she was able to care for me. And I got to tell you, having a partner in times like that is vital. And, I really feel sorry for anybody who doesn't have a partner that can help care for them, because I don't know what I would have done if I had been by myself. I mean, I probably would have ended up in the hospital. In fact, it's a certainty I would have ended up in the hospital. And who knows what would have happened then, because they're overworked, they're stressed out. At that particular time, COVID was at its peak here in Florida, and it was bad. So anyway, I think I'll wrap that up for this particular video. And in the next video, I kind of made a little list. Let me tell you what's next. Oh, in the next one, I'm going to talk about my experience with discussing this on social media. And so Pat and I were sick. We kind of talked about it on social media, and there were some real surprises there. So in the next video, I'll explain those to you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so grateful for my health, and so is Pat. I'm grateful for her too. And we both came out of it okay, and we're just so grateful. And in one of the future videos, I'll tell you about what we're grateful for and some of the surprises that came out of it as far as, how we feel about things now. So thanks again for watching. I hope you got something out of it. Keep an eye out for the next video, And I hope you are happy and healthy and staying well. And do everything you can to try and keep from getting it, because, despite what people say, it turned out to be no joke for us. So anyway, we're fortunate, and see you later. Bye-bye.